What's happening, everyone? Today I have 3 figures that I've waited too long to unbox, all coming from Kotobukiya's Street Fighter Bishoujo line, released from 2014 to 2019, the same series as the Kami scales I got in my first unboxing. Since then, I've wanted to get more figures from this series and even potentially complete the set, and now I'm 3 figures closer to that goal. Since they're a bit older and out of print, I had to look through the pre-owned sections of my regular shops and other secondhand markets just to find these. I usually check Ami and Mandarake, but there's also plenty of auctions to be found for figures old and new on Bai.com. While the former two are their own storefronts for Japanese goods, Bai is a proxy shipping service that hosts multiple online Japanese marketplaces. Basically, Bai will receive items that you buy from sellers in Japan and then send them directly to you from their facility. This video isn't sponsored by Bai, by the way. I just think their service is really good. It's especially great for someone like me who lives overseas in Canada, as I normally wouldn't have access to these goods otherwise. And among those goods includes anime figures that you might not find anywhere else. So if you're having trouble finding older, more rare figures, or new popular releases even, check out Mercari or Yahoo Auctions Japan through Bai. And that's exactly where I picked up today's first item. This is Kotobukiya's Sakura Kasagano 1/7 scale figure. Sakura is a playable Street Fighter character who first appeared in Street Fighter Alpha 2. She's been a regular in the franchise since, with her latest appearance being in Street Fighter 5, and hopefully she makes a return in 6. Back to the figure, she originally released in 2015 and retailed for 7,200 yen, and I wish I paid something even close to that amount. I definitely paid more for her than I should have, but I had missed out on this figure once in the past and didn't want to slip up and miss her again. That's just the game of figure collecting. All of the boxes for this series of figures are very similar in design. There's a couple of prints of the original art by illustrator Shunya Yamashita on the sides, as well as a couple of shots of the figure itself. This box in particular also shows a preview of the next character in the line, in this case Poison. There's also an official Capcom sticker of approval on the front, so you know they're legit. Opening her up, Sakura comes as one piece just like the other Kotobukiya figures, the only assembly being her foot to the base, which also comes with 2 swappable plastic pieces to change the art on the inside. Aside from that, it's just a basic clear acrylic base, but it's nice to have the option to change it up a bit. It also doesn't take up much room, which is good for me because I'll need the space to complete the set eventually. And as for Sakura herself, she looks pretty great. There's a lot of movement in her pose, affecting every part of the piece. Jumping and pumping her fist in the air, it's really showing off that happy, energetic personality of hers. The folds in her outfit are nicely sculpted as well, and it really brings this figure to life. You can see this especially in her shirt that has creases around every angle, and her skirt that essentially floats with the heights and dips around her thighs and backside. Even her headband strings and scarf have a sort of flow they follow, and all of this is complemented by the simple but vibrant colors of her outfit. One gripe I do have for this figure is the way her shoes came out, really just the laces. They look kind of blobby and like they're melting away. It doesn't take anything away from the rest of the sculpt, as it's a pretty minor flaw, but something I noticed either way. A bigger and more noticeable problem is her lean. Anime figures that stand on one leg make me kinda nervous. Depending on how far it leans or how bad the weight distribution is, it could cause the figure to bend even further or potentially break over time. This thankfully hasn't happened to any of mine, but this one's definitely making me a bit anxious. She's held by a plastic piece in the base that connects with the pegs in her right foot. The fit isn't the tightest, and she wobbles quite a bit just from spinning on my turntable, and it's pretty obvious that most of the weight for this figure is in the front and away from the leg support. It even gets to the point where her heel rises out of the pegs slightly. Despite all that, it doesn't feel like it'll break, but it's definitely not the sturdiest. Flaws and all, she's still a very nice figure to look at, and I'm glad that I now have her for myself. I just wish that maybe I paid a little less for her than I did. Moving on, we have the Street Fighter Alpha 3 1/7 scale figure of Karin, or Karin Kanzuki. This one was released in 2019 and cost around 9,800 yen at launch. She's also the last figure that was made for this series. As I mentioned before, she pretty much comes with the same contents as Sakura, only difference being the one swappable art piece for her base. She's a pretty solid figure, and thankfully standing on 2 feet. Her pose is a direct reference to her iconic laugh from the games, and really, how else would they have made a Karin figure? While I don't think her facial expression really matches her condescending demeanor, it still looks really good. Probably my favorite face of the 3 figures today. Her smile is bright and beautiful, with her red blush cheeks and happy expression. Her hair is another very prominent feature. The light shading from yellow to brown gives her curls some depth, and the sculpting job is just amazing. Even her braids that go along the sides of her head and meet the bow at the back are nicely detailed. And of course there's her cute little twin bangs at the front. I will mention, there's a weird white line that cuts across the back of her head. I thought it was a defect at first, until I saw it on other people's Karin figures, so I guess it's just something they all have. Maybe it's supposed to be like a shine in her hair? I don't know. To me, it looks like it shouldn't even be there. Her outfit is very very similar to Sakura's, but is predominantly red as opposed to white. It is on that same level of detail though, with all the folds matching the actions of her pose. Her shirt bunches up slightly and you can see her shorts under the skirt as well. Her footwear looks a lot cleaner than Sakura's. No laces, just some red shiny heels that are nice and glossy. Overall, she's well put together and has no major flaws. I wasn't much of a Karin fan in the past, but this figure has me rooting for her return in the latest Street Fighter as well. And last but not least, the final figure for today is the 1/7 scale Sakura Round 2 version. This one also came out in 2019 and originally retailed for 9,500 yen. I picked her up on Mandarake with Karin as they both went up at the same time. Saw an opportunity to up my Street Fighter collection and I'm glad I took it. Now, despite Sakura already having a scale from this series of figures, this version looks vastly different. Yamashita was still responsible for the original art, but this Sakura has a different sculptor than the first. So let's go over some of the details. For starters, her face doesn't have any sort of blush and the eyes are a lighter shade of brown. Her hair is also a lighter color and is a bit less wild, with a more rounded top. Unfortunately, there is a very noticeable seam line that cuts across this area, and man, I do not like it. Thankfully, half of it is covered by her arms and it's not visible from a front view. Another difference in this version of Sakura is her skin being fairly lighter. The original has warmer tones on the body that are pretty noticeable in comparison. Her pose has changed as well, having her standing against a gust of wind with her outfit swaying in the breeze. Her headband strings especially, as they take up a lot more space and stretch far past her body. I really like the way it looks and how it creates a scene no matter where she's standing. They also changed up her shoes from the last figure, giving her some neatly tied up high tops in place of her sneakers. All in all, I really like this Sakura. Not sure if I could pick a favorite between the two, but they both have features I like. There is technically a third version in the form of a New York Comic-Con 2015 exclusive, but it's the same sculpt as the first Sakura, just wearing an alt costume from Street Fighter 4. I'll probably miss out on that one, as it's even harder to find than the figures I showed you today. That, and I haven't seen her listed for less than 600 Canadian dollars, so yeah, I think I'll pass. Well, that's all I have for this video, so I hope you enjoyed the showcase of my new Street Fighter figures. Let me know which one was your favorite, and if you have any Street Fighter figures of your own. I have even more to unbox, so I hope you'll stay tuned, and subscribe if you want to see those videos as they come out. Alright everyone, peace.